YouTube. That was weird. What's up? How's it going? How you doing? How's your day going? What have you done today? Have you had a good day? I hope you have. My name is FrankTastic and I am on my 2017 Yamaha Y ZF-R6 and I am currently in some of the slowest traffic I've been in today. And some people wonder why I cross double yellow lines. It's because of this. It's so slow. It's hot. If I want to pass, I'll pass, okay? Woo! Get some air now, boy. That shade feels great though. Alright, so the topic of this video that I really want to focus on is my ICON Airflite. I really want to talk about it from the owner's perspective of having it and owning it and wearing it for the past couple of months since I have purchased it. So it's pretty much a ICON Airflite review. Now technically this is going to be my first actual like helmet review, or I guess gear review, so I really don't know exactly what topics to go over, like, you know, when I do a bike review. I mean, heck, I'm not really good at doing a bike review either, but I mean, I kind of have an idea of what to do. I have an idea of what to say, at least. But when it comes to a helmet is a very important piece of equipment to have as a rider when you ride a motorcycle. It doesn't matter what type of motorcycle you ride, whether it's a street bike or a cruiser, the helmet should be your number one thing you should invest in to protect your head. I don't mean just buy cheap, crappy little helmet, because low quality helmets has, well, low quality results. From what I've seen on the internet anyways, I would much rather spend $200, $300, $700 on a nice, good quality helmet proven to be high quality protection of your head. I really want my head to be protected. I do have a family. I do have a 1-year-old daughter, and if I ever do go down, I would most definitely want my head to be protected so I don't die in the process and be able to return home and see my baby girl and be able to see her grow up at some point. But anyways, when it comes to a helmet, the size has to be right. It has to fit your head perfectly. It does not need to be loose or jiggle on your head. From my understanding, and you know, my personal preference on the helmets that I look into before I buy, when I try them on, I want them to fit very snug onto my head. When I say very snug, I don't mean where you put it on and 2 seconds later your face is turning blue and you can't breathe. That, my friend, is one size too small, and you should probably go up one more size. But the helmet should fit perfectly. That way, if you're going down the road and the wind pushes your head, your helmet isn't just wobbling around on top of your head. The helmet should fit good. It should fit perfectly. That's what a helmet should do. My personal preference when it comes to a helmet is a full face helmet. I do not like skull helmets. I know they probably look a lot better on a cruiser than they do if a rider was wearing one on a sport bike. But even if I did own a cruiser, and when I did ride a cruiser, I always wore my full face helmet. Because for me, I just have more confidence in that helmet in protecting not only my skull, but also the back of my head, the side of my head, and also my face and my chin. You know, those are important parts of your head too, not just the top of your head. But like I said, that is just my own personal preference. Some skull helmets do look cool, but I would never own or wear one. Anyways, moving on. This ICON Airflite is probably one of the very few, one of the best fitting helmets I've ever owned. It is also one of the best fitting helmets that I have ever tried on. I have tried on multiple helmets, not only at my local motorcycle dealership, which also sells motorcycle gear, but also at other motorcycle gear dealerships like Cycle Gear in Huntsville, Alabama. I highly recommend Cycle Gear. Which reminds me, before you buy a new helmet, make sure you measure your head so you have the right measurements if you're buying one online. If you do not want to or know how to measure your head, or just simply are lazy and do not feel like it, like most of us, and try to find a helmet in your local motorcycle gear store so you can go and try on whatever helmet you're looking for, so you can get the correct size, get a feel of what it is and all that. I highly recommend it. But moving on back to the helmet, this ICON Airflight fits my head perfectly. I absolutely love the way this helmet feels. ICON, from my knowledge, typically makes their helmet more narrow. The cheaper brand of helmets, HJC, which I would never own one again, is more oval. This is all personal preference on what you're looking for and what fits best for your head. For me, I really like this narrow type that ICON normally produces. My last two helmets I've had was ICON. This ICON Airflight, and my last one, the ICON Alliance, which, if I'm not mistaken, they're not really selling those brand new anymore. I think the only way you can get those is eBay. I could be wrong about that. You may want to check into that if you're looking for an ICON Alliance. But anyways, my last two helmets, the Airflight and the Alliance, was an ICON. Both of the helmets' size was a large, and they both were narrow type helmets, not oval. I do not like oval. My number one helmet brand to go to is ICON, but recently I've been looking into other helmet brands, not HAC. I'm really liking the way those AGV helmets look, and I may be getting one soon. I do not know. Going back to the ICON Airflight owner's review, I really like this helmet. I absolutely love it. I really like the inner lens it has. If I'm not mistaken, you can actually buy different color variations of it to install on the inside, but I just stick to the black. How the visor is made and how the visor looks is insane. I don't think there's any other helmet that has this type of look, and that was one of the biggest things that sold it for me, was the way the visor looked. It gave me like almost like a halo vibe. I can't remember what the helmet is called. I think it was the Eva. Was it Eva or Evo? I think it was the Eva helmet that it was making me think of, and I thought that was really neat. A little bit later, after this helmet released, I bought this one. And I have customized it in my own very way. This helmet does come with different options you can choose, different accessories you can replace on this helmet. You can replace the clear visor with any other color tinted visors. I typically go with gold, sometimes blue, but this time I went with gold. The black smoke rear spoiler on the back of the helmet, you can replace that with any other color that you want. I almost did a gold visor and a blue spoiler, and I thought that would have been a really cool and unique look, especially with my rubber tone matte looking helmet. But instead I opted out with just the gold and gold finish, and I was pretty happy with it. But a part of me does wish I went with the blue on at least one of the two. But I digress. This ICON Airflight, you have a bunch of different options, a bunch of different accessories you can do. This helmet is not only a street bike type helmet, you can also take the front visor off, put this fairing looking thing on top of where the front visor would come out. Then you can have like dirt bike goggles and wrap around on your face, and you would pretty much turn your ICON Airflight street helmet into a dirt bike helmet. I think that is a really cool and unique thing that this helmet has and can do. You can just buy the accessories for this ICON Airflight, and all you have to do is just take off the visor on this helmet and then put on the motocross accessory onto the helmet, and boom, you have a motocross helmet. I think it's really cool. Now, I'm not going to do that just because of the fact I do not have a dirt bike, and I do not do anything that involves a helmet like that. Gosh, so slow. But for anyone out there who is into that, or does do street bike and motocross, or just simply looking for a cool looking motocross helmet, the ICON Airflight is an option for you. Now this helmet, you can also replace the side plates on the side of the helmet. If you do not know what the side plate is, pretty much every helmet has this area on both sides of the helmet where the visor clicks and unclicks into the helmet so it doesn't just fly off the head. Well, this helmet, unlike some other ones I've seen and owned, this one actually has a side plate guard. So to be able to actually remove your visor, you need to take those side plates off. Then you would just lift the visor all the way up and it would pull out. Replace the visor, you just stick it back in, pull it down, and put the side plates back on. I am currently wearing my ICON Airflite, but if I'm not mistaken, I think my ICON Alliance actually has a side plate too. I'm not 100% sure because, well, I can't look at it, but I will let you know. Also, this helmet has multiple vents located all over the helmet. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's 2 up top and then 1 in the front where your mouth would be, like most helmets normally do. Some do not though. There's 2 in the back, right below that rear spoiler is, which is pretty cool, pretty neat. You normally would want a helmet that has vents, especially if you are living or riding in an area that normally is pretty freaking hot, like I am right now. If you replace your clear visor with a tinted visor like I did, on hot, bright days, if you pull that visor down and then pull your inner visor down, your inner lens visor down, you have double the shade. And for me, that is perfect because some days, especially middays, it gets so bright that first visor tint is just not enough. So I have double shade and I can see more clear, or at least I'm not being blinded. I like that feature. This is actually the first helmet I've ever owned that has an inner lens, so I've really been abusing it lately. And if I ever do buy a new helmet in the future, I'm going to make sure it has an inner lens. Now in this video, I'm not exactly going to try to compare this helmet to any other helmets. I really don't have much experience with any other brand helmets other than HJC. I have had 2 of those helmets and I didn't like any one of those. They felt horrible on my head. Some of them had cool schemes on them, but in reality they were just bad helmets, even though their price was cheap. And I would only recommend those helmets for someone who just absolutely needs a helmet, and those are the only ones they could afford at that time. That is the only time I would ever recommend a HJC helmet, which unfortunately my local dealer here in Florence, Alabama only sells HJC helmet. At least those are the only ones I've seen. I would really wish they would bring in some different brands, you know, have a variety of helmets instead of just HJC. But I normally don't buy my helmet or any of my gear from my local dealership, only motorcycles or sometimes oil, because sometimes they just have it cheaper. But moving on back to the helmet, I pretty much described the helmet, what you can do to it, and how it feels. Which I guess you could say most of those, if not all of those, are pretty much the pros of the helmet. Now a few other pros of the helmet is on the front of the visor, there's vents right here at the bottom where the vent would be. Where you can actually buy a GoPro mount that would actually stick and clip into those vents on front of your visor. And I thought that was pretty neat. It was like GoPro pretty much made that mount specifically for this helmet's visor, and I thought that was really cool. If you want to rock a GoPro on the ICON Airflite and you want it on the front of your helmet, you most definitely can. I mean, obviously I'm doing it right now. The helmet does come with a chin guard, so that's pretty nifty. My past helmets, all of them, even my ICON Alliance, for me to have a chin guard, I would have to actually order that separately. This one already comes with one, and I absolutely love chin guards because, well, I mean, it keeps wind from going up underneath your helmet, but also since I do motovlogs, it keeps some of the wind off of the mic. But if you don't do motovlogs and you don't really care for a chin guard, you can easily just remove it. Let's go ahead and talk about the cons of this helmet. All of this is from my personal experience. I don't know if there is any solution to any of these problems I have had. I haven't really looked into it that much, just because of the fact that it wasn't really that big of a deal, but it was still, you know, slightly a problem that I didn't really like. Now, don't get me wrong, this helmet looks fantastic. If you're driving around on your car or a bike and you see someone pull up with this thing on and they have like a tinted visor, you're like, wow, that dude looks like a total badass. That is amazing. I gotta get me one of those, and I don't even ride. The look of this helmet is just ungodly, insane, amazing, whatever positive, crazy word you can think of is what it is. But although I have so many positive things to say about this helmet, I do have some bad things to say about this helmet, and that is, number one would be motovlogging with this helmet can be a pain in the butt. And the reason why I say that is mostly because of the wiring. To wire your mic, if you want to use your voice, wiring your mic on this, because the GoPro is connected on the front of your visor, motovlogs, if you don't know a good way to run your microphone from your camera to inside your helmet without it actually being weird or stretching the cord whenever you lift your visor, because look, when I lift my visor to give my face some air, the GoPro goes up with the visor. It's just a bad design. That is one of the flaws, and to me, one of the biggest flaws that this helmet has. Because I like to open up my visor and give my face some air, especially when I'm, you know, either going really slow or at a stopping point, because it's hot. But if I'm motovlogging and I raise my visor, then the GoPro can't really see anything and you can't really hear anything. And depending on how you have your microphone ran, some of you won't even be able to open up your visor. I will be making another video showing how I ran my microphone from my GoPro to inside my helmet. That was actually, for me, a way better option, and I just absolutely love the way I did it, and I figured I should share it with you guys in case there's some motovloggers out there that uses this helmet and needs a better, correct way on how to run your microphone and still be able to actually lift your visor. Like I said, that will be in another video coming soon. If you don't really do motovlogs, so if you don't really make YouTube videos, you just, you know, have a GoPro mounted on your helmet to record for insurance purposes or whatnot, then that's not really a problem. So that con shouldn't really affect you like it affects me. So that's more of a personal issue, but to me, it most definitely affects my personal rating for this helmet. I think I have gas. I don't know what you're saying, man. Right? I don't know what he's saying. Is he saying he wants race? Is he saying I want food? Is he saying my bike wants food? Is he saying that I need gas? I don't need gas. How can you tell I need gas? Can you see my gas light? I don't see my gas light. So I figured out what he wanted. And that would be a surprise in a later video. Another big flaw for this helmet that I have is I could not install my Sena S10 on it. Technically I did, but I had to cut, you know, this little rectangle piece out of my left cheek pad so my Sena would be able to slide into the helmet and stay on, and it worked fine. The speakers, you know, once I had the speakers in, I put the helmet on, they wasn't crushing my head, they wasn't hurting my ears, it felt fine. The issue was I had to cut my left cheek pad's bottom, because on this helmet the cheek pads clip into the helmet. They don't just like slide in like most helmets, they clip in. To even be able to get my Sena in there, I had to cut that clip. That caused problems because whenever that happened, even with my Sena in my, you know, in my helmet, I was just getting so much wind noise because of that hole. Recently I put in new cheek pads, so that hole's gone, you know, it's fixed and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, there's new cheek pads in here, so it almost feels like a brand new helmet. But that was a problem. I really, when I wear my Airflight, I miss my Cena. I miss my music. I miss being able to connect my Cena with my other friends like Colin. So that's a flaw for me. So if you normally ride with other friends, or you normally ride with your music using a Cena, this may not be the helmet for you because of that fact. But I do know that there are supposedly some sticky mount options out there that you could use. I guess if you want to get that sticky mount, it should work. Or maybe there's some adhesive type Cenas or other Bluetooth things you could buy. I don't know. I kind of looked into it, but at the same time, I just kind of left it alone because I was like, well, I would just stick my Cena back on my ICON Alliance and just leave it as that, you know? Not a big deal, not a problem. But I miss my music. I miss being able to communicate with my friends. Whenever I do ride with friends who actually have a Cena and we connect them, I use my Alliance. But when I do that, I can't exactly record with my GoPro unless I just switch out the whole setup, unless I move the whole GoPro setup I have on my Airflight over to my Alliance. And doing that so often can be very annoying, and I do not like doing that. For me, that is a flaw. It's a big problem. But other than those two issues, I don't have any other complaints about this helmet. If you don't ride with the Cena, and you don't need your microphone for a GoPro to do motovlogs, and this helmet would probably be a perfect helmet for you. I think right now, depending on the color scheme you go with, I'm pretty sure brand new an ICON Airflite is $250. Which brings me to the conclusion, or the end of this video. I would rate this helmet 7.5 out of 10. The ICON Airflite, 7.5 out of 10. And that, my friends, is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Post your comments and thoughts about the helmet in the comment section below. I will see you in the next video.